Hello, welcome back to my channel. Here we awaken, inspire, motivate, and heal. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever you are guided to do. Today we are talking about cruelty in our meat industry. This is going to be a warning. If you have a sensitive stomach or this type of thing bothers you, you may want to click off. I am going to be speaking about my experience when I toured a cow packing plant in high school. It was for an animal science class, an elective that I chose to take. They weren't supposed to show us the kill floor. I specifically remember one of the workers saying, "We don't normally show people the kill floor." And I didn't really hear what else they were saying beyond that when we were on the kill floor. I just remember witnessing absolute horror. And what I mean by that is not bottom line, we are killing and eating other animals. Like I always knew that. That isn't some shocking revelation that I just thought chicken nuggets fell out of the sky, like in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It wasn't like that. And let me be completely honest with you. When I toured, I was around 15-ish, somewhere around there, and I was not spiritually awake at all. I was very much asleep to a lot of the problems in society. In fact, by the time I got out, I was considering a job there by the time I turned 18. And that's kind of crazy because I was able to witness these things, but it didn't hit me. It didn't really sink in until years later. I was an adult looking back and going, wow, I actually witnessed that. That wasn't, I'm not crazy, that did happen. At that time, I just didn't care, which is really strange. But what happened, I remember them giving us a speech, and I think it was the same room they may have used for orientation because I remember a TV being in there. But at least I'm pretty sure if I am remembering the room correctly. I do have memory issues, but I suppose TV, no TV, it doesn't matter what room we were in. We were in some sort of meeting room. And I remember them saying that the cows, like, they pull up their head basically in this metal grate and to get one shot to the head, and that they're supposed to die. That they die and then the process starts. That's not what I saw. Okay, what I saw was, yes, their head would get pulled up and they'd get the bullet, the metal, whatever type, shot right in their head. There was someone else pushing a button to do it, and that was the highest paying position in the building. And I can see why. This was not killing them. Like, they would scream. Like, I mean, they don't speak English, but I know when a cow is in like a lot of pain and is very disturbed. This was like straight out of a horror movie, 100%, because not only were the cows screaming, like that got the bullet, but the other cows in the trailer, they could hear the cows on the line crying out and screaming for help. Basically, there was a little bit of a build-up. I remember as the cows would get pulled up and they'd get the shot in the head, they would roll out on the belt. Somebody would attach, that same person would attach their ankle. Then it would get pulled up. There was a little bit of a delay, I remember, of like maybe 5 or 8, 10 cows, and they probably did that in hopes of them being dead by the time it reached the first stop. But I had noticed, based on the screams, that a lot of them, and when I say a lot, I mean, I don't mean like over 50%, but a shocking amount. Like, I was sitting there for a minute And there had to have been about 15 out of 100 that were not dead by the time their bellies were sliced open. And the next step was their skin was taken off. I feel like they tried to keep as many cows as possible, like with the shot in their head just hanging there long enough to hopefully die before they get to that point. But at a certain point, the line just had to keep going. So there was no stopping it because of that. There was a very shocking amount of blood that I had witnessed that was all over the floor. I was about 40 to 50 feet away. But I mean, it was still that's as close as you can get unless you work there. But 30 to 50 feet, I would say. But somehow the floor had got like lower, or I don't remember the exact how they did the floor, but I remember that there was these grates for all of the blood to go into when they get slit open, right? Except the problem was it was very clear that they were having kind of an issue with that because it was flooding the floors over there. They were on specific, they were like 3 to 4, maybe even 5 feet up from the grates, standing on the platforms to cut them open and, perform their jobs on the line. But I remember the blood being so high that it seemed crazy close to at least to me, to where they were actually working. Like, it was flooded out. And it was super, super foamy. Like, I can imagine a bubble bath that's been, unplugged, but is slowly kind of draining. Like, there was an insane amount of foam, like blood foam, just because of, like, I'm not super great with all this stuff. I don't know how all the air gets in there during this process, but maybe just the blood splashing down creates like the bubbles, probably. Like, same with water, like when you watch a sink, it's how fast the water is going down, then it hits the other water that creates the bubbles. Yeah. I'm trying to articulate, but there was so much foam, and it was really, I remember that being a little bit insane, even at the point where I didn't care. It was just a shocking amount, and I could have got over the blood. That's the part where maybe like, oh, I don't know if I can work here. It's just because there was so much of it. After I gave birth to my son, I ended up having more of a weak stomach, so now I see blood and I faint. But back when I was a kid, it didn't really bother me. But I'm shocked that bothered me, because it never bothered me. I specifically remember, I don't remember if they directly told us, if it was somebody I knew that I was talking to after touring and like speaking with family or other people. I don't remember who told me this, but I specifically remember learning that in order to work there, you need to pass orientation, which is a simple video of what happens on the floor. Like, they don't show you the floor until you can sit through orientation. This wasn't for this school tour, by the way. We all went at any time. We could have just went through the door, though. They're not just going to trap us in there. But they were paying people just to complete orientation. And I'm talking, I'm interested in working here. And before you even sign anything or get hired officially or anything, they were paying, I don't remember the exact amount, but hundreds of dollars just to finish the orientation video. Which is actually insane that I say that. A lot of people couldn't finish the orientation video. They would end up leaving. And most of that was from the smell in the building. The second you opened the front doors, the front doors of the building, the first door you go through, and I remember there was a bunch of stairs. It smelled like death. Like, to put it quite frankly, like fresh death. It didn't smell like rotting decay. It smelled like death is knocking on your door. Excuse me. feel like somebody's trying to attack my throat chakra. But I do believe that I was meant to speak on this, because why else would this random employee randomly say we never show people to kill for? But something told me to show you guys, basically. Like, it's kind of insane. Like, we were kids, but that showed us to kill for. The rest of it was pretty simple, not stomach turning in my opinion, just disassembling the cows and packaging them. But that is what really bothered me, the fact that we mass, and I mean by what I would say is easily hundreds of thousands of generations of these animals that are getting treated like shit when they're raised. And I'm talking not proper living conditions, and being treated like shit, like abused, like animal cruelty by people who work in the industry. And then when they go to die, they get to hear their family members die in the most horrific way, just to be next, and they can't even stop it. That is fucked up. There's absolutely no reason in the world why this needs to be happening like this. And no, I'm not about to tell you to go vegan. I'm not. Okay, a lot of people, when learning about this or witnessing such a thing, they do, because they no longer want to partake. It's no longer appeasing to them. I still very much love meat. What I have the problem with is how they are raised, how they are butchered. There's no excuse for this. There's no reason at all this needs to be happening. And I'm shocked that people have let it go on for this long. Our meat industry just needs a redesign. It needs new laws, new statutes, new expectations, no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, there's laws when it comes to like murder and stuff, like do not murder and all these other sorts of, only if in self-defense and shit. But how come when it comes to animals, it's absolutely nothing? Nobody seems to care if you're eating them. If you're eating them, who the fuck cares how they get in your stomach, right? Like, I don't fucking get it. This is so mind-boggling to me. I will never understand. But instead of these animals going in a trailer and going to just get slaughtered in their own horror movie and watch their friends and family, and then they're next in line, like, they should all be brought somewhere in like a sterile building to be cleaned in like a line formation. But the first step, which I believe would solve the death part, there's still a whole different in life, like when they're alive and how they should be treated when they are alive. But food raised for our consumption should be euthanized. Like, that only makes sense. We do it for our pets. All sorts of care and attention and love and everything is put into our pets because they become part of our family, which is why local family farmers who like raise their own cows and shit, they tend to butcher their animals very respectfully because they've gained feelings for that animal. They care for those animals. They raised them to be part of their family and to feed their family. There's nothing wrong with eating animals, but the cruelty that just goes right under the fucking rug and isn't even spoken about is fucking shocking. It's appalling, and it's fucking disgusting, to be honest. This has pissed me off since I became awoke and aware, and I feel like awoke is not the right word. Awakened? That sounds a lot better. Just did not sound grammatically correct. But this is insane to me because there's no reason why you can't line up 50, 100 cows, have them all be like pet or something when you give them this shot, and then they just go to sleep, and then they're all asleep and then they can all just be disassembled. This does not, for those of you who don't give any flying fucks about what I'm saying, you know, all the people who are sociopaths or just are like me when I was younger and I was not awake, or I don't even care what your reason is to not give a fuck, to be completely honest. If you do not give a fuck, you should at least give a fuck about if they are raised and or slaughtered horribly. Either or, in most cases, there's both. It ruins the taste of the meat. Seriously. I've picked out meat at like grocery stores and stuff, and I can like smell almost, which is weird. Or like right when I open a package of meat or something, I can, if I smell the meat, I can tell if it was treated fucked up. I can smell the horror off of the meat, which is insane to say, but it's true. I basically just reiterated my blog post that I just wrote, but if you want to hear it in more of a story kind of way, more of something that sounds more literate, I make more sense when I write, because then I can go in and I can edit stuff, versus when I speak it all just kind of comes out weird sometimes. But I did write a blog post on this, and the cover headline part of the blog is my design that I designed today, representing this. So both the blog and my digital art will be in the description if you guys want to read and or share, comment on the blog, or purchase one of my digital arts, then that will be in the description box below. This is a very heavy video today, but I know it had to be made. I know I had to speak about this. Sorry, it's a weird flashback from when I was there and something I saw, but this isn't just about making you guys have all these graphic, you know, memories, unless it's actually important, and this technically is not important. This was part of the process that I would say. It just has to be done. So I'm not going to share that, but which I probably didn't have to speak about the blood then, honestly, because that just kind of has to be done. What's the problem is that they aren't caring if they're dead yet. Like, that's the actual bottom line. So I guess I'm sorry I shared a little bit too much there. That's just something I specifically, I guess, really stuck with me. But I think I should leave this video here. Please do like, comment, or subscribe. All of these things genuinely help the channel, and if you go to share, which I would highly appreciate, you don't even have to necessarily share this video, my blog post, or my digital artwork, though you can. All of my digital artworks on the very back the very last picture that you can scroll through is a post that is inspired from like Instagram posts. Like, it has little hearts in the corner and it looks like a little post. All of those are lower resolution, and you may download and share them on social media. Okay, the recording literally cut off, so clearly someone doesn't want me to deliver this message, but I wasn't done. I was saying something important. So I've never edited 2 videos and put it into one video before for YouTube, so I guess I gotta learn that, because this message needs to be put out there, and I do need to say this last thing. So I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I was going to say that you don't necessarily have to share this video, my blog post, or my artwork. It's highly appreciated if you do, but you do not have to. What you need to share is the truth. Word of mouth. Start talking about it. Hey, did you know there's a shocking number of the cows on the assembly line that are not killed by the time they're cut into and their skin is torn off? Huh. Isn't that crazy? People don't talk about it because typically when people hear about it, they become vegan and then they start yelling at the other people telling them not to eat it. It's not that we should not be eating meat, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. No. We could have the argument all day about how there's proteins in other foods, which there is, and all that type of stuff, but you can do whatever the fuck you want. But as a collective society, we should not be letting our meat that is raised and consumed for our consumption be treated this way, in life or in death, period. So just start talking about it, will you? These animals have been screaming to get our attention. They have been, and I heard it with my own fucking ears, okay? It is time that we motherfucking listen.